our lifestyle is such a huge part of what we need. And if our lifestyle and our wardrobe are not in alignment, then we have these big gaps. So we don't have what we need. And our life is evolving all the time, isn't it? So I was talking to someone the other day who she got rid of all of her stiletto shoes recently because she doesn't have a need for those anymore. And sometimes we can keep things, hold on to things. But I think it's so fascinating, Jodie, the attachment, the emotion we have to these pieces of fabric sewn together with thread. It's so fascinating, and how it's almost like they have an energy in a way. And sometimes that the letting go is yes, you might be letting go of a dress or a pair of trousers or something, but there's often an energy that goes with it. It's just like sentimental items. I have some clothing that belong to my mum. I won't ever wear them. They're not in my wardrobe, but they have meaning and memories. And, we have these emotional attachment. And that's why a lot of people accumulate and struggle to let go. And that could be an acceptance. Well, I won't be that weight again. I won't have that lifestyle again. But now my lifestyle is different. So as we evolve and our lifestyle becomes different, then the things that we need shift and change as well. And that's one of the things why you won't ever get there, if you like. You won't ever have it all sorted out, because as soon as you have it all sorted out, something will change. Or maybe your favorite item will get a hole in it, or like you moved from a colder climate to a warmer climate, didn't you? I've lived in warmer climates as well. And just that has an effect on what you need and what you wear, doesn't it? If you're living somewhere hot or you're living somewhere cold. So many different things, so many different elements of our life, and we have to dress for it all.
Well, I wonder about that, how we change and how people look. And I don't know if we quite focus on that, but I was thinking that, for example, my mom never was a clutterer, never had a lot of clothes, didn't want them. And now she's 95. She's got more clothes than I can ever imagine. And she doesn't have and it's so interesting, because I wonder what it is in her that that suddenly that is important. That's comforting for her.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I wonder why, why do we stick on to certain clothes? What is it about that memory? I've got a dress from 1984, believe it or not, when I was in Egypt, two of the Egyptian dresses, I guess you call them. I don't know what it is about them. I rarely wear them. I won't give them away.
No.
And I don't know.
It's interesting to look, isn't it, about what is it about that item? So, I mean, often it is memories, isn't it? And memory of that trip has some kind of, it's not necessarily the piece of clothing itself, but the attachment, the memory, the meaning. So some people, I've got a friend who, she says, I've got this dress that I'll never get rid of because I was wearing it when I met my first granddaughter for the first time. Things like that. But I think what can happen is people can not distinguish between it's an item of clothing that I wear and it's an item of clothing that has sentimental value, and everything stays in the wardrobe. But the wardrobe really is the place you go in the morning to get dressed. So what you want in there are things that you can and do wear. And the other stuff, like the sentimental items, I would say put somewhere else, have a memory box or a drawer or something, because it's not like the dress, you might wear it now and again, but it's probably not an item of clothing you wear very much. The reason for keeping it is not the wearing, but the memory and the association with that trip and whatever that meant to you. And I think sometimes we hold on to things and then they accumulate, and then it's too hard to go through all of that stuff. So we go and buy new things because it's overwhelming. So I can't deal with all of that. I'll go shopping. And I find that a lot of people, they're frustrated with their wardrobe or their collection of clothes, and how they try to deal with that frustration is they just shop rather than maybe going through and finding, what have I got in here that I can use, or how can I wear things in a different way, and really being creative with what they've already got. They just can often go shopping instead. And I think sometimes the shopping for me is like the last part of the process, but people are starting there. And sometimes for the shopping is they're buying things they've already got, or things that are already really similar. So they're, I'm going to go buy something different. And then you come back with something that's similar to what you've already got. or you go shopping thinking, okay, I really need to buy jeans. I've identified a gap in my wardrobe. I really need to buy jeans. And they come home with a handbag or a pair of shoes or something like that, because buying jeans is hard for them. They're not sure what they want, what works, and so it becomes hard. So we just go and buy something that we don't really need. So there's a whole, it's a very interesting association, I think, that we have with our clothes and with shopping. And yeah, and I think now the more choice, we've got so much choice now, haven't we? In a way that makes it harder because there's so much. And if you don't know, you don't have a sense of what works for you and who you are and how you want to express yourself. What do you do in this sea of clothing and all this choice? It almost becomes harder.
Well, yeah, and especially as we, most of us, as we baby boomers or ones that are 50 and over, there's certain styles that sometimes really just aren't comfortable anymore. And yet at the same time, I think that is that emotional letting go. There are people like me who are not shoppers. It's really challenging. What do you say to people like me?
Well, I've then also looked at, so what is it? And I don't think people should be shopping all the time. I think shopping is, part of the process. It's not, and then it would be, well, so what is it? Looking a bit deeper, what is it about the shopping? Is it because you don't really know what you want, so you find that difficult? Is it the sizing? What is it that's having you not enjoy it? And I don't think it should be, oh, we shop. Maybe you're happy with what you've already got and you don't feel that need to shop for new things.
Actually, I was putting off getting some shoes that I really was supposed to get because to support my feet, and I just didn't want to. And I see what you're saying, and maybe there's other people like me that are listening. They're like, well, sure. I have a very small foot, and finding shoes has always been a big headache for me because now women's size, my girlfriend is a podiatrist, owns a store here, a shoe store. And she said that the average woman's size is a 7 now. Well, I'm nowhere near a 7. I'm lucky to be a 5. Yeah. So that maybe there was other women that have larger feet that have that issue.
I think it's about it, Yeah, and I think that is true. And I think it's we assume because someone has got a certain figure or a certain size, it must be easy for them, but not necessarily. I think it's just as challenging for every, if you're looking for certain sizes, like particularly in the smaller sizes now, I think it is very challenging. And if you are petite in height and size, and a lot of the clothes in the shops don't fit, you don't want to be in the children's section. That's where the fit that's where the fit is, but you don't want to be in the children's section. So I think it can be quite frustrating. And obviously, if something's frustrating, we don't generally want to go and do it, do we? We want to try and avoid it.
Do you help people like me to help them see? Because one thing I really like about what you do is that you take things that you already have, and you say, don't throw out the baby with the bathwater here. You can put it together. What about when you really do kind of need to go to the store? Do you kind of help them work through this?
Yeah, so I think there's a process, Jodie, of, the first thing is, who is that person? So that would be looking at their lifestyle, as we talked about, like what is your lifestyle? So for your footwear, what do you need? That would be, how do you get around? What are you doing? Is it train? And you've got like if you've got issues with your feet or, things like that gives you what you need. So it's looking at the lifestyle, looking at who is the person, what is their style, because our style is far more than the visual, and the influences on our style go far, far wider than clothing. And I mean, I was talking to someone the other day about kitchens. Would you believe it? She was talking about she would really love this minimalist kitchen, but I know her a little bit. And I said, but it wouldn't be long before you started adding plants and little knickknacks, because her style is quite eclectic, and she likes a lot of color. And so your style will be present everywhere in your home, in so many different areas, the art you like, the kind of nature you like. So really this curiosity and this exploration of who is this person that then needs to dress, I think it's so important, because you could end up with technical, or these colors and these styles are perfect for me technically, but they're not me. You know, I hear that a lot, like, oh, it really feels like, you know, when you put something on that feels really good, oh, it's just me. It just feels like me. And that's what we're looking to create in everything. So I think the first step is really, who is that person? It's not my job to tell people how to dress. It's really to collaborate and bring out, who is that person? How do they want to express themselves? How do we balance that with what they need? You know, and then it might also be things like things you've been told or things you've read that become your style story, and they can be a bit like limiting beliefs. You know, I was told you should never do X, Y, Z, or little sayings, aren't there? Little sayings like blue and green must never be seen, and all these little sayings that we grow up with. Or maybe someone told you, you don't look good in that. And then we take it as almost like, or in England, a lot of the time I meet people and say, I can't wear that colour, Lucy, because it was my school uniform and I didn't enjoy school. And we have these emotional attachments to things. So it's really this exploration of, who is this person? What is their life like? What is getting in their way? How do they talk to themselves and about themselves? Because that comes into it as well. Because sometimes people talk to and about themselves in a way that they never would talk about somebody else. You know, that kind of might be about their weight or about all different things about their colouring or whatever, and really unpicking that. And then once we've got that exploration, then okay, which colours work, which styles work? Those are the styling tools, I like to call them. And when we start putting it all together, then the picture becomes a bit clearer of what are you looking for, who, you know, and then the shopping becomes more focused. So it'd be like, you know, let's use the analogy of a meal. If you wanted to cook a meal on Saturday night and you were going to cook Italian, let's say, you would decide what you were going to cook, and then you go to your cupboards, wouldn't you, to see, of the ingredients I need, what do I already have? And then once you have that, then you've got the what's missing at the end, and that's what you would then go and shop for. Rather than, well, I want to cook a meal, I'm just going to go to the supermarket and start shopping.
What was it for you that you find the connection with helping people with style?
I think for me personally, so when I was very young, I was called names at school about my appearance. And I'm talking like 5, 6 years old. And somewhere in my little brain, I decided there's something wrong with me. I'm ugly, you know, all those kind of things. And then that did affect my confidence. And I did things, but when I was in my late 20s, I felt like sometimes I felt good about myself and sometimes I didn't, but I couldn't tell the difference. What was the difference between that time and that time? And then in my late 20s, someone said, do you want to do this course with me? And I went, yeah, okay. I didn't know what it was. Yeah, okay. And it turned out to be a colour and style course. And it just, something resonated with me. Here was a practical way. And as I started to use what I was learning, here was a practical way that I could start feeling so much better about myself. And this connection between the outside and the inside, you can't separate them really. And then I just happened to be the stylist that I did this course with. They were looking for someone to train. And I just wanted to share this work. So it was almost like a practical way I found to be more consistently feeling good and confident about myself. And I wanted to share that with other people. And I just I don't know whether I can explain it, but just there's a resonance, isn't there? Sometimes, quite often you find people who are coaching or working with people, it can be that they've had a painful situation themselves, and then they found a way to deal with it and let go of it and process it. And then we want to share that with other people and provide that to them as well. And not everybody I work with has had something like that happen, but I think there are a lot of people who maybe don't really know who they are, what works for them. And this dressing is something we can't avoid doing. We have to do it. You know, we have to do it daily. And I think if we can learn what works for us, what expresses who we are, people would feel more comfortable in themselves, more confident. Shopping becomes less stressful and cheaper because you're not wasting. Because I think a lot of it is we're exploring who we are through clothing, but we don't really have a process for that exploration. So it's a bit random and it can be a little bit chaotic, or it can be restricted. It'd be, oh, well, I'm going to stick here because this is comfortable. But really, I feel I would like to, let's say, you might have someone who only wears a neutral colours, but and for some people, that's all they want to wear. For other people, it might be, there's this real aspiration to be wearing colour, but they're a little bit unsure, or, what will other people think? I don't really know what colours work. And so it can be either a random thing that's just like random, or it could be restrictive. But when you start to, explore who you are and get curious, and that's why starting in someone's wardrobe is a really great place, because in there's so much about a person in that space. And I know it's a very intimate space, someone's wardrobe. And when I go into someone's wardrobe, I'm very conscious of that, but I'm looking for the clues of, so someone might say, oh, I love this, but I don't love this, or I wear this all the time and I never wear this. But if you just stop there, you don't learn anything. So it might be, okay, so what is it about this item that has you love it so much? And then someone might start to talk about, it might be the color, might be the fit, the cut, might be a memory. And what is it about this item that you rarely wear, or when you do wear it, you're not happy? What is actually going on? And then as you go through this process, who this person, their preferences start to emerge, and then there's more clarity and more focus when you're adding or putting things together.
Wow. So it sounds like it's so much more than simply liking this or liking that. I mean, what I'm hearing, it's really an inside out job, or maybe an outside in.
Yeah.
Because
that's the perfect thing. That's exactly what you just said, because sometimes you're working from the inside and out, and other times we don't really know what the inside is. So and that's what's so fantastic about style coaching, is because the inside and the outside affect each other, you can start on the outside and then it starts to turn around, and that person's, oh yeah, I'm feeling more comfortable, feeling more confident, and they really start to get to know who they are and express themselves through this medium of clothing. It's magic.
That's so interesting to me. How are you living in the energy of your legacy now, Lucy?
I think the sharing and the contributing and connecting with other people, and because there's nothing nicer, is there, when you're working with someone and they start to feel and they feel good about themselves, maybe shift the perception of themselves that they've had for a long time, or maybe just a pure enjoyment of expressing themselves with color or the clothing, and just this I just know who I am, and I'm just going to be free. It's quite liberating to see someone start to really express themselves and get excited about themselves, get excited about what they're wearing, what they're putting together. And that energy that comes with that can't not spill out into all these different areas of their life. Because if you get confident in one thing, it tends to spill over into other things, doesn't it? It's not an isolated, well, if I feel confident here, and then you're losing it because we're like a jigsaw puzzle, aren't we? Really, we're connected in these different pieces, and I think that's what I love doing, just that sharing and helping people to explore who they are and then express that in that way. And that might be in their personal life, it might be in their professional life, because our clothing speaks, it affects our energy, our body language, how we connect with people. If we feel uncomfortable, it can be very distracting. Like for you, Jodie, if you're wearing shoes that aren't comfortable, you can spend your whole day thinking, oh, my feet hurt, my feet hurt, my feet hurt. And then you're not really focused and concentrating on other things, because it's a distraction. But when you walk out and you go, I feel great, you can forget about that and then go out and do your day. So I think, and if you haven't been feeling very well and then you put a not bright color on, or whatever else, sometimes we want to just wear neutral colors and not stand out. It's a really interesting how we use this medium of styling to talk to ourselves, talk to other people. I just find it really fascinating.
Love that. One of the things that I know for me is that for me, LifeMaven started because I didn't feel I was being seen. I didn't choose to be seen for a long time.
Mm.
And so for me, and I'm curious and everything, that's why I just love doing the podcast. And that for me is helping me live in the energy of my legacy. Is there a connection that you have with your past, because you had mentioned something in school that really fulfills that need in you for what you are doing?
I think so. I think I just would love people to be relaxed about themselves and be a bit playful with, like when my daughter was about 9, she had a friend over to play and they said, Mum, can we play in your wardrobe? And they spent the day playing in my wardrobe, and they were putting on shoes and bras and hats and, all kind of stuff. They just had free reign in my wardrobe and they were giggling all day. And I think sometimes we can get a little bit serious, or we can forget to be playful and creative with what we already have, and do things in a different way. And I think that is a real pleasure to be, if I can reignite that in someone, then that is, is a real joy.
So making the everyday not be every day is what I'm hearing.
Yeah. And even if you're wearing jeans and a top every day, that's fine. But what kind of jeans, what kind of top have you feel good?
Wow.
Because if I took, say, 10 women and I gave them a dress, I actually gave them a dress and said, come back in 2 hours, we're going to have dinner. Everyone would have done something different with that dress. And that's what I think is so great about styling, because people can't not express themselves. They'll have different hair, different accessories, different shoes. They might have added things. And someone might just want it plain. It's just this expression. It's almost like it has to come out somehow, but sometimes we don't know how to do it, or we're not sure. We're a little bit unsure, or we're worried about what other people might think. Or, if you spend time with young children, and Jodie, you've been a teacher, you spend time with young children, they're fully self-expressed, aren't they? They come in wearing yellow stripes with purple dots and all kinds of stuff, and they're free. And then something happens and we start to get a little bit more restricted. And I'm not saying that we're gonna do it in that way, but there might be just little nods to even like different cultures. Maybe there's like, I lived in Asia for a long time, so when you come to my house, I've got quite a lot of Asian influences in my house, because I spent a lot of my life there, and we can do that in our clothing as well. So I think it's this kind of a bit creative. Yeah, wearing jeans and a top, what does that mean to you?
What are some words, quotes, get you through when you need that shot in the arm?
I have a quote that I really like, which is, time is a dressmaker specializing in alterations.
Wait, time is a dressmaker specializing in alterations, right?
Yeah.
What
Faith Baldwin. That means that time doesn't stand still, does it? We're moving and evolving all the time, and things are changing and altering. And I think sometimes we can resist that, or we can not want the changes to happen, whether it's that's your appearance or things happening in your life. But that quote to me is, life is a continuum, it's an evolving thing, and things will change and things will alter. And if you're a seamstress, you're changing those things with intention and consciousness, or embracing them. Like you might let out a dress, or you might take the hem up on trousers, or whatever it is. But so to me, that quote, it relates to my work, but it also gives me this sense of time is not something to be afraid of. It's something that we will alter, we will change, and how are we gonna go with that? What are we gonna do with that? So I kind of like that quote, because it's quite simple, but it just tells me that, I'm not going to stay the same. We won't stay the same. We will change and evolve, and that's okay.
It is okay. Please.
Oh, yes, totally okay.
Yeah, definitely. Please share with our listeners how you can best help them.
Well, if anyone wants to have a chat with me, Jodie, I'll share a Calendly link with you so that people can book to have a chat. And I think I would like people to take away become consciously curious about yourself. You know, what do you like? What are your preferences? What the art, nature in your wardrobe? And maybe, you know, this week, take an item and wear it in a different way, wear it in a way that you haven't worn it before. Become more playful and become a little bit more creative. And if something doesn't work, learn why it doesn't work and let it go. Don't stress about things. So, you know, if people want to have a chat with me, or they can find me on my website, they can find me through LinkedIn and Facebook. I'm more than happy to have a chat with anyone if they'd like to talk about, you know, things that might bother them, or how do you start exploring your style, that kind of thing. So if people want to connect with me, then I'd love to do that.
Thank you so much. We will have information about that in the text, so please be sure. Lucy Barrett, thank you so much for joining us on LifeMaven Podcast and helping us all live in the energy of our legacy now.
Thank you very much, Jodie. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.